Good morning, evening, afternoon, whatever time of day it is where you're at. Welcome to Collider Dailies. I'm John Aldis, and I'm joined by
Maggie.
Maggie. How are you doing on this fine Friday?
It's Friday. So I'm doing good.
I think we're both looking forward to the weekend. It has been a
Yep.
very tiring week, and I think that we could use some time to recharge.
Oh, but I won't have any time to recharge because it's South by Southwest this weekend and the Oscars. So
This
I
is true.
I will be working all weekend.
You got to be able to at least carve out a little bit
Oh yeah. I'll
of
be
Maggie
I'll
time.
be estate sale shopping, don't you worry.
Of course you will. That is the most Maggie weekend plan I've ever heard. That's
I'm
okay.
consistent.
I'll
Excuse
be
me?
sitting here in front of my computer, probably playing Dark Forces Remastered. That's probably what I'll be doing because I am a hopeless nerd with no friends. So it is what I will be doing. Okay. The T Money 35 says, "Happy Friday, everyone. 5 minutes left in the Formula One qualifying on ESPN2. John and Maggie hosting today, and if the trend continues, will be a big night for Oppenheimer on Sunday." I don't know. I didn't know that we needed to know that there were 5 minutes left in Formula One qualifying on ESPN2, but you know what? Here
You
we
know,
are.
I think they're talking about all the wins that they're having right now. And
You
we
know
are
what?
among those wins. So I will take that.
Or they're excusing not paying attention for the first little bit of hosting. For the little bit of watching today's episode. Either way, good to know. We will get to the Oscar talk here in a little bit. We're going to actually start off this episode not with our title topic. We're going to be talking about something else to start, and then we'll get to the Oscars at the end because I feel like the Oscars, that's going to be our bigger discussion. So we're going to start off with something fun. Today is International Women's Day, if you were not aware. So in honor of that, we felt like it would be good to dedicate a little bit of time on this episode to talk about our favorite women and female presenting persons in film. Whether they're in front of the camera or behind the camera, just rattle off some people that we appreciate and that we want to talk about. Maggie,
Yes.
being a woman yourself,
Yes.
how about you start?
I have a whole little list of people who I admire in this industry so much. So obviously, I think I've talked about it on here before. Lucille Ball, the fact that she was kind of the pioneering force that allowed Star Trek to exist in this space, always means a lot to me. Is always somebody I look towards whenever I'm talking about fandom and kind of the things that have saved these like crucial genres on television. She's also was just like an incredibly savvy businesswoman and talent herself, and I always kind of look to her career with a lot of admiration and respect. I also I love Patty Jenkins. I've worked with Patty Jenkins. I've seen how she operates on set. Seeing that first person, how she takes care of everybody on set, whether you are an extra who's only going to be on for a day or you're a background performer that she's seeing every day, she treats you no different, and she treats everybody on set really well. And I really appreciated that. And that was a fun experience personally for me because I already respected what she did with the first Wonder Woman movie, but getting to see that she also, was a very good leader on set was very important to me. So those were two that were the first people that came to mind when you presented me with this topic this morning. But there's a lot of other people as well, but I want to hear some of yours first.
So the first one that immediately jumped to mind, and this is 100% recency bias because I actually just rewatched one of her movies. So I've been getting ready to watch Love Lies Bleeding. So I wanted to dive into Rose Glass's work a little bit more, and I went and I rewatched Saint Maud. And it's a movie that I remember when I saw it in 2019 when it came out, I was blown away by it, but in a this is the best film that I don't think I'm ever going to rewatch kind of way, because it's just very dark and very crushing. But then again, I did actually go back to it to rewatch it, and my feelings on it stay about the same. It is a beautiful film. It is wonderfully well made. And Rose Glass just absolutely crushes it with her directing on it. And it only served to make me more excited for Love Lies Bleeding, which I am looking forward to checking out when I get the opportunity to. So, of course, there's that one. And then, of course, I got to shout out my favorite actress of all time, which is Sigourney Weaver. I've got such a deep love for Sigourney. She's not necessarily, I wouldn't go out and say that she's the best actress by any means, but any time that she shows up, regardless of what I'm watching, if she shows up in it, I always have a good time with her on screen, and it always makes me happy to see her pop up. Doesn't matter what I'm watching. I could be watching the worst movie in the world, but I will walk away from that movie thinking to myself, that was a really crappy movie, but Sigourney was in it, so I had a good time. Every time. She always makes me happy to see.
I love that.
Yeah.
Well, if we're talking like recency bias, I have not stopped talking about it. Lisa Frankenstein. I love that so much. And
I knew that was coming.
Yeah, I really love what Zelda Williams did with the direction on that film. There's so much vision there. And for her first big feature, I think she shows a lot of promise going forward as a director in that space. I think Lisa Frankenstein gave me a lot of newfound respect for Diablo Cody. I wasn't really a big fan of Jennifer's Body when I was younger, but I found a lot of merit in what she was doing with the script for Lisa Frankenstein, which has kind of made me reflect on some of her previous work in different ways. And I think, having such like a female-led film really helped to make that film resonate so much more with me, because I think that the female eye there, the female gaze was really important in making that movie as good as it was for me.
I will say I haven't seen Lisa Frankenstein. It is on my list. I do need to watch it mainly because you won't shut up about it. But I will say that for the time when she was active on Twitter, Zelda Williams was one of my favorite follows on Twitter, because she was just always every take that she put out there, I was always sitting there reading it diligently. It was always a good time. Another one that I wanted to bring up, Chloe Zhao. I went back and rewatched Nomadland about 2 or 3 weeks ago and had a lot of fun with that. And I also rewatched The Eternals, because I haven't actually seen The Eternals since it released in theaters. I just haven't gone back to rewatch it, but I did rewatch that over the holidays, over the Christmas break. And that movie might be one of the prettiest looking Marvel movies. And I think a lot of that comes down to Chloe Zhao's direction and everything that she was able to do with that, and Disney actually kind of giving her a little bit of room to run with that. So I kind of hope that doesn't completely sour her towards bigger budget filmmaking. I feel like it probably has, but yeah, I think she did a great job.
Another filmmaker I really like is Molly Elfman. She did Next Exit a few years ago, and just really a fantastic filmmaker, visionary in a lot of ways with the story that she's telling, the very deep waves of grief in that movie. I love that movie so much. And she's a really fantastic writer and director. She hasn't done a lot yet, but I hope that she continues to do more, because I really like her creative vision. And I'm trying to think of other ones off the top of my head. I really like Julie Delpy, the French filmmaker and director. She's done, obviously, a lot of people know her from the films that she did with Ethan Hawke, but she's a fantastic filmmaker in her own right. She did the film The Countess, which I like quite a lot, about the Bathory. So there's just so many. There's so many out there that just don't get their flowers as much as they should. On International Women's Day,
we've got a couple that chat are actually calling out. So let's take a look at what chat is saying. Chris Robinson says Kelly Reichardt, I hope I said that right, is my favorite living filmmaker. Her work has been so integral to forming my tastes and my growth as a human being, honestly. Great take. I haven't actually, off the top of my head, have I seen any of her work? It's a name that I recognize.
Yeah, I recognize the name.
Entirely sure if
I'm going to look it up right now.
Yes, because we've got computers right in front of us, so we can do that. Have I seen this? Oh, I saw Certain Women. So I have seen some of their work. I might have to go back and rewatch stuff just to get a better take based on what you're saying there, Chris. But yeah, that's a good one. The T Money 35 says, from a performance standpoint, Jodie Whitaker is the title character on Doctor Who. It was the first time I felt genuine connection to the experience, something that'll live with me forever. That is a brilliant statement. the fact that is like such a solid connection that you were able to build there, and such a meaningful relationship that you were able to have with that performance because of it being Jodie Whitaker. I think that's fantastic. I need to go back and I need to rewatch some of Jodie Whitaker's Doctor, because I've only seen like bits and pieces here or there.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I always did like her as like I liked her casting. I just never really watched too much because I kind of fell off the Doctor Who wagon. We've talked about this on the show.
Yeah, I fell off after Capaldi.
Yeah, but I do want to go back. All in the Game says Nicole Hollofencer doesn't get enough credit. There's so many women in this industry who just don't get the credit that they deserve. So I feel like that you could put in any name there and it works.
Absolutely.
I will say I do want to end this segment with two of my favorite women working in the entertainment field and any of its connected, branches, would be, of course, my wonderful Collider Dailies co-hosts. You've got Maggie Lovett and, of course, Perry Nemerov, who's off doing South by Southwest stuff this weekend. Both of whom do fantastic work and are some of my favorite human beings on the planet. So, of course, I got to be shouting out you wonderful people. And with all that out of the way, and with all the flattery and everything that I felt like ending that on, let's move on to our title topic for today, which is locking in our final Oscar predictions. It is almost time, Maggie. How are you feeling? Are you excited?
I'm ready for it to be over.
I'm right there with you. I was talking to a friend of mine, was it last weekend when I was down in Oregon? I was talking to them, and by friend of mine, I mean my brother, apparently. We were talking about Oppenheimer, and I said to him, I was like, you know what is the thing that I am looking forward to the most? I'm looking forward to the Oscars being over so I don't have to talk about Oppenheimer anymore. I like the movie, but it's just like it's been on a constant rotation.
See, I'm still talking about All Quiet on the Western Front. That was last year. That movie came out in 2022, and I'm still talking about it. So you best believe I am a stan for All Quiet on the Western Front. But I do anticipate that I will still be talking about Oppenheimer for the next couple of months. At the very least, I'll still be talking about Cillian Murphy. So
I feel like it's going to be something, especially because I have a feeling that it's going to be the big winner.
Yeah.
I feel like it is going to come up. I just want it to come up less frequently than it has, because it seems like it's like every day I'm talking about Oppenheimer. But going through our predictions here, of course, Best Picture, I feel like it's Oppenheimer. Like that's not even, I don't even think that's really up for debate.
No.
Anyone who I know who is kind of questioning that, I don't really know what else could fall into that.
Like, I will say this, and this is like, I don't expect it to happen, but if they really wanted to throw everything for a loop, The Zone of Interest winning Best Picture would actually be unironically the best thing that I've seen happen at the Oscars. And I've said this a few times, and I think I've said this on Dailies, like, had Oppenheimer not had as much of the lead time that it had to really push for its campaign, I do genuinely think that The Zone of Interest and Anatomy of a Fall could have had really high potential for being true competitors for the Best Picture category. Like, I'm still so surprised and impressed that they got nominated for Best Picture. I think that speaks in and of itself in like a whole realm of like, I'm proud of the Oscars, nominating, committing for that. But I think the fact that Sandra Hüller is in both of them gave both of those films advantages, because people are doing double watching of both of them, because they're like, oh, she's running for these categories, we should watch both of her films. And I think that gave both of those films an advantage in a really fun, great way. And I would love to be wrong about Oppenheimer winning Best Picture if what wins is Zone of Interest, or even Anatomy of a Fall, which I think is a phenomenal film.
I mean, honestly, I don't think that I think that every single nominated Best Picture film is more than worthy of the win. But I just think that Oppenheimer's just going to run away with it.
I mean, I feel like every other award show in the lead up to this has proven that Oppenheimer is the one with everything to lose.
Well, as Mike K pointed out, Oppenheimer will take home a minimum of 5 statues, including Best Picture, Best Director, Best Supporting Actor, Best Editing, and Best Original Score. Hashtag Moppenheimer. I gotta say, I think that at least a few of those I think are right on the money.
100%.
Best Picture, Best Director, again, that's another one that I think like Nolan all the way. Best Supporting Actor, yeah, I think Robert Downey Jr. is going to walk away with that. I will throw out there that I believe wholeheartedly the Best Actor is going to Cillian Murphy.
100%. I have no real doubt. Any doubt that I had that there was serious competition there completely went away after the SAG Awards.
Yeah, and that's the thing is that pre-SAG Awards, I would have argued that Giamatti might be able to pull out a win here. Yeah. But then as soon as the SAG Awards happened, I was like, okay, I feel like this kind of shows the way the winds are blowing, and it is going to be Cillian Murphy. That being said, if anyone is going to beat Cillian, it's going to be Giamatti.
Yeah.
I think that's just the way that it's going to go. Best Supporting Actor, again, I think is a given that it's Robert Downey.
Yeah. I think he obviously, his performance in Oppenheimer is incredible. It's great. It's really fun to see him doing this very serious type of role again. But I also think he has the advantage of like, he's got this great comeback story and he's, really well liked in the industry. And there's a lot of like, it's past due for him as well to walk away with that trophy. So I think that also gives him a very clear advantage over his competition.
T Money 35 says Oppenheimer is the experience of a generation that is the Saving Private Ryan caliber of this generation. Be careful with that, because let's not forget that Saving Private Ryan did not win Best Picture. It was beaten out by Shakespeare in Love. And then also a Celebration,
which isn't even that good of a movie.
Oh yeah, no, Shakespeare in Love is not.
But we also, I think now in retrospect, we know why that got Best Picture.
There's a few reasons, but yeah,
there's at least one big reason.
Anyways, Arrow Maxwell says if the Holdovers were released in a different year than Oppenheimer, Giamatti would take home the Best Actor at the Oscars. Yeah.
It had the Holdovers come out this year. I don't actually know what the big competition is. I try not to think about who the next big competition is for the Oscars until like well into the year. I am not projecting anything based off of film festivals like a lot of people are. But I think if it had come out this year, I think the Holdovers would have clearly been like Best Picture, Best Actor, Best Supporting Actress. And then I think Dominic would have at least been nominated for Best Supporting. Probably wouldn't have won, but would have been nominated. So
yeah. I think the Holdovers is one of those sort of like sleeper Oscar hits.
Yeah.
Where it's not, it wouldn't, like if Oppenheimer just didn't exist, let's just hypothetically say that if Oppenheimer just didn't exist, it would have been one of those movies that next to nobody saw, because sadly next to nobody watched the Holdovers, at least as far as mainstream audiences are concerned, but it would probably have swept.
Yeah.
Would be my guess.
I do feel like the Holdovers is going to be the film that in like a decade, people will be like, how did this not win more awards? Like, it's so good. I
mean, honestly, I feel like you could say that about a couple of the Best Picture nominees. Like American Fiction is another one that I feel like people are going to be talking about. Like, why did this not walk away with all the little golden men? And everyone will be like, oh yeah, because it was up against Oppenheimer and the absolute behemoth that was.
Yeah. I mean, how blessed are we that this was a year of like every film nominated is phenomenal. Like, so blessed as film lovers.
It is. 2023 was a fantastic year for film, despite many factors that kind of hindered a lot of the releases. Obviously, we had the strikes, which pushed back a lot of big releases. Something that I asked Perry, what was it, on Monday? This week feels like it was super long. How she would have thought that the release of Dune Part 2 on its original release might have affected the Oscars. So I want to hear your thoughts on that.
That's an interesting question. I think it probably would have gotten a number of technical nominations. And I think that Denny would have probably gotten a Best Director nomination, but I don't know if it would have made the Best Picture category.
Really?
Just because it leans into genre, and we know that they tend to be a little gun shy of anything that is like a hard sci-fi, hard fantasy. They tend to go towards more of the more, look at what we have currently. I mean, it's a very specific style of story that they like to go after. I'm not sure if Timothy would have gotten a Best Actor nomination, but I could see Rebecca Ferguson getting a supporting actress.
Yeah.
I could definitely see that because she also has the personality that goes with that campaign. And so I think she would have absolutely have gotten a supporting actress nomination.
I think honestly that it would have been in Best Picture discussions
And discussions, definitely, but I don't know if it would have solidified.
Well, I'm saying that I'm guessing that it would have gotten a nomination if it had released at the time that it was originally supposed to, if it had the same public reaction and the same response from audiences, because there is an element to the nominations that, I mean, while audience response isn't like a huge factor, that is still an element that is put into play to a certain degree. So I think that a movie of that caliber also being a audience favorite probably would have helped put it in there. And I could have seen it being in there. Because I feel like, not to disparage Barbie, but I feel like the audience response to Barbie is largely why Barbie is also in there. I think we can kind of agree on that one.
Yeah, I would also agree that audience reactions is why it missed a bunch of other nominations.
True, but that's getting into a whole other discussion that we don't
which we've had before.
Yes, and my DMs have still not recovered. People get salty, but anyways,
to be contrarian there, you say that audience reaction is partially why a film like Dune 2 would have possibly earned that Best Picture nomination. But at the same time, we're talking about the fact that American Fiction, The Holdovers, didn't have strong audience reactions, that it was a small but mighty few that truly love those films. And I would say the same was probably said of Maestro. Obviously, it released on Netflix, but there wasn't a really big, strong audience reaction to it. I mean, there were strong reactions, at least on my part, but not all of them were good. So I guess it would have to depend on what else was released alongside it at that date.
There's just so many factors that it's really hard to necessarily say.
I mean, how did the first Dune do? Of course, it was in the middle of the pandemic, so it's technical stuff.
Remember.
I think it just got technical nominations.
Yeah. I will say I think part 2 is better than part 1. I love part 1. One of my favorite.
And then you have to factor in how often do part 2s get a Best Picture nomination, but the first one not. And a lot of factors here that make this very, very hard to even theorize.
I mean, Return of the King was a threequel, and it got, so it happens.
By that logic, does that mean Dune Messiah will be the one that gets nominated?
Jury's still out. We're gonna see it because Dune Messiah is a weird story. That's hard to dig into. Anyways, we've back on topic, like onto a relevant topic,
sort of.
This is okay. Back to award predictions. Best Actress. Let's at least cover that one because we did cover Best Actor, Best Actress. We've got the Battle of the Stones. Lily Gladstone, Emma Stone. How are you falling on this after everything? What is your final prediction for this one?
Lily.
I'm getting behind Lily. Like Gladstone has been the one that I've been pulling for through this whole thing, and I'm still very strongly team Gladstone.
Yeah.
That being said, if Emma Stone walks away with it, I'm not going to be either surprised nor upset.
I think the SAG Awards really solidified that opinion with Lily winning. And I think given the fact that Emma's already recently won an Oscar, I think that might factor into it as well. I don't want to say all Oscar voters think at all deep about their decisions, but I wouldn't be
Some probably
surprised.
do.
I wouldn't be surprised if for a decent majority of them that they factor that kind of, thing in, especially when you have this slate of people that a lot of first time nominations, a lot of first time potential winners. If they're wanting to continue to make the Oscars look better, I think having, more people getting to share in that, that title, I think looks good for that voting body.
It's true. Before we close things out and before we walk away from this discussion, the thing that this topic originally was actually supposed to be, and I do want to kind of touch upon this a little bit here. Every year at the Oscars, seemingly something crazy, something memeable, something that everybody gets talking about happens. If you had to take a shot in the dark, just like read your tarot cards, look at the stars, roll the bones, whatever it is you got to do to predict the future, what do you think is going to be the crazy thing that happens this year?
I honestly could not bet on anything. I mean, we did just get news of like the first weird thing that Messi the dog has been banned from the Oscars because apparently humans were jealous of Messi. Okay, God has spoken. Aliens will be landing on the red carpet on Sunday. Take me to your leader.
Sure.
I don't know. There's like so many random things that are like being speculated already. Like Bradley Cooper is allegedly going to be like bringing Gigi Hadid to the red carpet with him and like making their relationship official, which has been
Is that
like,
going to be like a memeable thing that people are talking about outside
I
of?
don't know, maybe. I don't know. I really, really don't know.
I would not be surprised at all if we see some kind of. I feel like there's going to be something to do with the Barbie snubs, be it a joke from the
Kimmel.
host, be it some sort of protest that happens. I don't know, maybe not to that extreme, but I feel like there's going to be something to do with that, because I think that is when it comes to the Oscars, that has been the outside of predictions, the biggest discussion that I've seen from a lot of people. So I think that could be something that we see. Outside of that, it's just all wild and wacky.
I hope Jimmy Kimmel dresses up like a dog. Since Messi's been banned, he should come out on stage dressed as the dog from Anatomy of a Fall.
That would be
all award shows are made better when there are dogs around. So whoever banned Messi
is a jerk.
How could you ban the adorable dog?
T Money 35 asks, so Adam, where on the red carpet will we see the police box? I don't know, voice of God, if you got something to chime in on that.
Justice for Messi. Justice for Messi.
There you go, haunted Autumn. Arrow saying there is for sure a joke about the host. Kimmel has made a skit about Barbie already, and the Oscars on the show. Yeah, so it's probably going to happen. Random thought: what if Barbie pulled a Crash style upset?
I think if they had not garnered so much negative publicity right after the nominations, that could have been a potential win. But I think considering how much it was shut out of the SAG Awards and other industry awards in the wake of all of that kind of backlash, I think that speaks to where people in the industry are feeling about that. I deserve these nominations, even though nobody actually in Barbie was saying that. It was just a lot of people online that then made them all look bad.
And finally, we have Arrow Maxwell saying, bring back Triumph the insult comic dog. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I'm into that.
I'm down for it. And with that is where we're going to end today's show. And that's where we're going to wrap up a week of Collider Dailies. Maggie, you have anything coming down the pipeline that you want to plug, that you want to talk about?
I have my interviews coming out, as I've said, all week. Next week with Ed Spleers, and then my Ben Browder Farscape interview. Those will all be next weekend, not this weekend. I don't think I have anything of excitement this weekend except for live coverage of the Oscars on Sunday evening. So be sure to check out Collider.com as we break all of the announcements for who is going home with statues, all of the milestones that will be achieved by several of those nominees if they secure the win. And I will be doing live updates.
There's going to be so much fantastic content on Collider.com that you can check out over this weekend. So highly recommend getting into that. However, if you want some more Collider goodness today and you don't want to wait for this weekend, later on today, an episode of Ladies Night is going to be dropping where Perry got a chance to talk to Millie Bobby Brown. So go ahead and check that out when it drops. I'm not actually entirely sure when it is dropping, but it will certainly be sometime today. That's what I know.
I do have a prediction for Oscars things. Jimmy Kimmel and Matt Damon's feud will somehow come up because we know.
Oh, that's 100% going to happen.
And he's in a nominated Best Picture. So 100% that's going to be something that we can look forward to and talk about on Monday because it's going to happen. Something funny will happen.
I feel like that's a given.
Yeah.
Arrow, John, I purchased Fallout 3-4 in New Vegas yesterday via Steam. Thanks for the input. We'll get into that when I get a chance. Have a great weekend, y'all. You have a great weekend, too. You enjoy those games. Anyways, with that, that's where we're going to end the show. Go ahead and check all that stuff out. As I said, Ladies Night later today. Oscars coverage on Collider.com. Go ahead and check all that stuff out. We will be back Monday where I'm fairly certain, I want to say 99% certain that it is going to be myself and Maggie. Here giving you our Oscars wrap up where we're going to be talking about everything that happened. We'll be talking about Kimmel and Matt Damon's feud coming up. We'll be talking about Messi crashing the show. We'll be talking about all kinds of wonderful things, cringy celebrity selfies, and maybe we'll talk about who had the best dress on the red carpet. I don't know. That's not really our thing, but maybe we'll bring that up.
Homies.
It's going to be a good time. So be sure to tune in for that. Until then, I hope you have a fantastic weekend. I hope you have fun at any Oscar watch parties or anything that you're doing. Just go out there and have a great time. We'll see you on Monday.